You are now listening to For All Nerds Show, a podcast about geek and pop culture from the perspective of people of color. For All Nerds is hosted by DJ Ben Amin and Tatiana Keene Jones. For All Nerds Show is a member of the Loudspeakers Network, where we always say rest in peace to our founder, Combat Jack.
For All Nerds Show is powered by our listeners. Everything we do, from our podcasts, live events, our website, are all independently funded. Please continue to support us through our Patreon page at patreon.com/forallnerds.
Welcome to the Fan Bros!
This is the emergency broadcasting system.
And what's up, y'all? And welcome to another episode of The Lack of Us, the blackest Last of Us podcast out here. Presented by For All Nerds from the perspective of people of color. But we always say inclusion is revolution, like it says on my shirt. And it's your boy, DJ Ben Amin, a.k.a. Cordyceps Rex, a.k.a. Holy Shit Joel, a.k.a. Smoking on that gas of us, a.k.a. Whoop, whoop, clicking, whoop, whoop.
Joe, please, whatever.
There we go. I think I dropped the last bar of that one.
That's all right.
It's all good. Y'all know what we doing over here. And tonight I am joined by...
Tatiana King, a.k.a. 4 Spores and 7 years ago, a.k.a. For Us by The Last of Us, a.k.a. Elliot Ness, a.k.a. The Blacks of Us. And I'm here with you today, Ben Amin, to talk about episode 6 of The Last of Us. What are we calling this?
I don't know. Sheep on the moon? What do we have? What was it? Sheep ranchers on the moon was
Correct.
My favorite phrase from this episode.
Yes.
I doubt that's going to be the title, though.
I doubt it. I guess
seriously doubt it.
It's too deep, right? Too deep an episode. What did you just think? What is your feelings about this episode? Like the last episode with, and I'm so mad that they fucking opened it with this, but
yeah,
with Henry and Sam, like clearly we were highly conflicted. And just you was ready to quit the damn show after that shit. So we've been bouncing around with our emotions right now.
Mm-hmm. And we had a lot of different comments on YouTube, and everywhere about last week's episode. Some people agreed with us, some people disagreed with us. People said, that if they changed it, it wouldn't make sense because the game went like this and it was part of Ellie's story and et cetera, et cetera.
You can change whatever the fuck you want. It's live action. They've changed stuff already. Now they have stayed fairly faithful to what's going on in the game. But my thing is, like, it's similar to like that the people who hold to their chest like this thing has to happen like the comics when you're talking about MCU and stuff like that. No, it fucking doesn't. And as you see, half of this stuff has been changed and it's more or less worked out. Not saying that there aren't any missteps, but it has more or less worked out even through changes. And
I'm still wondering, like, are they just going to stick exactly to the video game? Because seem like as someone who played that Final Fantasy remake from a couple years ago and having never played the original Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy 7, you mean?
Yeah, but through the osmosis, understanding that I'm playing a remix of it and that the story actually comments on the remix nature of it and that things change in this game where it was surprising to people who hadn't played it, who had played the original. Mm-hmm. And so to me, it's kind of weird. Like, if I'd played the game, I honestly would not want to see a note-for-note, beat-for-beat recreation of the game.
Some people really want that.
Yeah, I don't. I've never understood that mentality, and I'm trying to think of a game that I have played this, but not many games have been translated that well yet. So
Sonic, the most recent Sonic
movies. I still haven't seen the movies.
Oh, really? Oh, no, those are translated. Like, here's the thing I think people got to realize.
But the original Sonics don't have, like, that much of a story either.
Well, no, there actually is a really deep story, and Sonic also has a deep comic book behind it, too.
Super.
And it depends on which series you're talking about. There's Sonic Sat-Am, there's Sonic that was on Fox Kids. There's a whole bunch of different things. But anyway, the other point I was trying to make is I think people got to remember, like especially those who like, oh, I want it to be an exact recreation of a game I played. Like, no, you don't. Because it's in a different medium. So you want it to build upon stuff that you know. And there's going to obviously be people like Ben Ami and I who did not play the games, right? And I know in your head, if you're just, one of them gatekeeping types, you're probably like, I don't care if y'all seen it, ain't for you, it's for me. Okay, but it's a different art. It's a different medium of art. Okay. Like just like the game is art, the TV is also art, right? The show is also art. So it's good to, if you want to build on an original content, fine. But I'm also saying it's even more fruitful and you get more out of it when they bring something new out of it. Look at the Bill episode. That whole thing wasn't in the game, but look how much beauty came out of that. That's because they were creative and mindful and thoughtful about bringing about more detail or more depth of the character, right? And what they did was they just used stuff that was in the existing game and built upon it. And I think people need to look at it that way. Like, we don't need word for word, bar for bar off of these original content, original IP, especially when you're translating from, and technically, video games are also animation. Translating from animated medium to live action, flesh and blood, there are differences there. There are just inherent differences. And I just want people to be a little bit more open.
Yeah, you're asking for a lot there.
Which is crazy. I'm just
like, even having not played it, like, the end of this episode was interesting to me because I was like, oh, Joel catches a hot one. I mean, well, kind of a cold one. The hot
cold
ones
steel.
Cold steel. The hot ones and the hot bullets.
Is that like a railroad nail or something like that? It looked like one of the nails that you use for the railroad tracks.
Me and you are the same because afterwards I was like, my man was really carrying around a grimy ass weapon to stab people with.
Like that was the thing. But you know what that reminded me of?
Struggle.
Homegirl from Walking Dead, the daughter was carrying around the what was it? It was just like, wasn't it like a shard from a gun it was like a barrel from the gun that got cut up. Remember, you know what I'm talking about? And like that's some raggedy shit. And it's also the same type of situation where you just, an apocalypse. But I mean, I get it. I see
it's also effective, is it?
It is effective. This shit was effective.
Yeah. It had a nice little handle, it went right into Joel. Smooth. Ugh. But,
you hear it, bro. It had sneak level 99 on it.
Yeah.
No.
My man was caught unawares. But I was like, I wonder, is this from the game? Because again, in the game, like, I don't know. Okay, well, in the game, you can die, right? Your character can die, but you're going to start over, and eventually you're going to finish the game, right?
That's most games, right? You can die.
and there's more tension, I guess, here. If there is changes, because I'm like, well, wow, what if Joel dies right here?
He could very legitimately die. I mean, let alone a stab wound, let alone losing so much blood, like the man's passed out. Let alone the fact that maybe he could get what they call that when you got to get your shot for that, when something rusty, like a rusty nail goes through you, tetanus and all that shit. And look at where the fuck we at, man. There ain't no doctors around. Fucking Karen over there killed the last one. Ain't no doctors nearby.
I mean, I did notice that at the end of the episode, there's like the house right there, so maybe somebody's staying in that house. The last shot shows some houses past the train tracks. Yeah. Because otherwise, she ain't carrying that man about nowhere. So unless someone is right there, she
might try to drag him. I mean, Ellie. I mean, I've seen that. You've seen that where kids or people who just don't have that much strength, just like, I'm just going to drag this man and try to get him some help. Or like you said, she might run to the...
He going to keep gushing blood every second she's dragging him.
She going to run to the house and scream for help. I don't know.
She going to have to. Because unless somebody's right there, it's tight. It's tight on him. Real tight.
Oh, man. All right, Ben, what you like about this episode?
Well, I mean, that was one of the things I liked.
Yeah.
Because it did give me the potential that maybe Joel die and this will go differently. I doubt it. You're right. They're not paying that man that much to knock him off in this episode.
Yeah, no, plot armor.
Yeah, cash armor, boy, check armor.
Ooh.
Yeah, Pedro Pascal is getting paid way too much to be knocked off in the 9th episode. Not even the 9th, right?
The 6th episode, because there's only 9 episodes. So there's only 3 more left.
Oh, no, there's 3 more. If this was like 8, you could have maybe fooled me.
No, it's 3 more episodes left.
Oh, ain't no way. So, disliked it. That goes,
that was one of my dislike, but just dislike because I don't ever want to see him get hurt. So
I'm not
I
worried
don't want
about
to see
that.
Pedro get hurt.
Pedro can get hurt for all I care. I mean, I love Pedro, but you know what I mean? Like, he's not like,
Damn.
yeah.
I just mad at, like I said, that silent snake shit, man. And when he turned around, that shit was all the way in his guts. I said, God damn.
I did like that. Well, no, that's a little. I mean, it was just
What?
this whole show is so grimy. Like, and the thing is, as someone who grew up on like people always just doing the neck snap, you know, people just be doing the quick net snapping movies.
He did it in this episode,
but it was a little bit more forced, you know, so where it made it.
It was a struggle. It was a struggle.
Because as a kid, I'm like, damn, is it that easy just to snap people's necks? Because
technically, yes.
That's
technically yes. If you have the right. You got the fulcrum going. If you got the right angle and the right speed and strength, yes, it actually is fairly easy. Like you see how like the people accidentally break their neck off of doing real stuff that seem regular, basic, and like they're dead.
Yeah,
that's why like humans are very fragile, man.
And then we're also very tough. You know, it's like it's weird.
It's weird dichotomy.
It's super weird dichotomy. But back to things I like were pretty much, you know, a lot of the same things that I saw you had in the notes that you enjoyed. I did like the native couple at the beginning.
I like that couple. I like the wife. The wife was funny.
Of course, the wife is the show stealer. But it also weirded me out having watched Reservation Dogs. And I felt like their mannerisms were similar to the characters on Reservation Dogs.
Same, Ben. I immediately thought of Reservation Dogs. Now I'm trying to think, is it so much about you feel their mannerisms were the same, or it's because we got, at least for me, that was the most major exposure I've, at least on TV, that I've seen of
native, yes,
you know, First Nations people. So
since like there used to be the show Northern Exposure back in the day.
Oh,
and
no, this was my first one on TV seeing.
It was not like Reservation Dogs was hardcore with it, you know.
Okay, so to see that and to hear like the accents and the terminology and like that, everything that relates to at least this section of US of that culture, it seems familiar to me because of Reservation Dogs.
Yeah, and I felt weird because of that. I was like, is this stereotyping, or is this, you know, just how it is, or do I need to see more native, you know, First Nation culture?
I think we need to see more, like, because I don't have that background, so I can't tell. You know, and I would also hope, I believe so. I would hope the actors themselves are also of the culture. So, you know,
I know the husband from Mad Stuff. I'm not sure, you know, what his background is, but he'd been in. Oh man, he goes back. He's like an actor who used to be in everything. So I love both of them. That was a great scene. Like, I just love this episode because it pretty much says a lot of the things that I was talking about last week, that in times of crisis, right, people come together first off. They don't naturally just kill each other. We naturally do this, you know, violent acts and all, not naturally, but unnaturally. We live in a society that makes that seem like the norm, you know, and violence seem like the first option and the only resort. But it's been shown time and time again, like earthquakes, hurricanes, whatever type of natural disaster, people come together, people help each other out first.
I've seen it firsthand in New York. Like whenever there's been and real true emergencies, like New Yorkers come together, even if it's something lightweight, like and not that a car crash is lightweight, but you know, if there's a crash, and cause I'm saying in general, like versus like a tornado or something, right? But in a crash, I've seen videos where groups of people just from disparate places, they all run into the street and literally like pull people out, flip the car, like, you know, everyone come together under one accord.
Yeah, I mean,
so it is possible, and it is technically the norm.
It's the norm, and like historically, the numbers bear that out. And so it always bugs me out when people are like, "No, people would be killing each other." That's like, yeah, bro, you watch too much movies. Like, no, they wouldn't, you know, and no, you wouldn't. That's the other side of it.
Now I can see it though. Like after a while, desperation kicks in, and then the wrong people come into place. Like, think about this.
Not the Fedra stuff of last week. You know, yeah, of course. If you have people being abused, people are going to abuse back. That's going to happen.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, that I don't disagree with at all. I just disagree when that is the norm.
There are going to be bad apples. Like you see, like they have random raiders, where if you just take a wrong turn somewhere, like as they keep running into Joel and Ellie, you might get got by some raiders. Like, and there are people out there who are just like, they want it to be the purge. They're lawless.
I mean, Joel and Tommy were the raiders before, You know, they used to be the dudes running up on people, murdering them left and right.
There it is. Now they said, oh, well, we're just doing that to survive. So it's just like, while it may not be the widespread norm for everyone to turn around and be killers, it does happen.
Yes, but what I keep saying is the widespread norm is for people to help each other out. And then the deviant thing is to be murderers and violent psychopaths.
Okay.
Just like it
That's
is
fair.
in today's society, you know? It's
That's
not
fair.
much different. And that's why, you know, I actually got into a big discussion with a group of friends of mine a few weeks ago. And we were talking about cops, and I, you know, have a definite low view of police force. And I don't believe that they're necessary. And people are like, oh, but what would we do without them? And I was like, we'd be fine.
It'd be fine.
We'd be the same way. We'd have less people getting shot because, you know, cops shoot a lot of people, and that's pretty much their only solution to anything.
We'd be fine. I think there's different levels that of things, and like 80% of the time, the stuff that they're responding to should not involve an officer. Like a lot of times, it's mental health issues or things that just, you know, really require a different type of emergency or expert response, and not that. Like obviously there are the outliers where the big situations happen, terrorism and stuff like that, but then it's also just like, you also got to look at, well, what's starting that, you know, what's domestic terrorism, what's the I mean, we've seen what this week already, all the school shootings that have happened. Like I was appalled, and this is a sidebar, but we're gonna go back to things. I was appalled seeing, like, there was a girl who, she in high school, her high school, I don't remember which high school because there's so many, but her high school was part of a big school shooting, and she survived that just to be going to Michigan State, and that was another school shooting that she survived. Like from high school, you know what I mean? And there's some people, what they say, I think they said some people who went to Sandy Hook and they grew up and they were involved. I'm just like, your entire life cycle.
And this is like when I get into that's why I really don't like when people start talking this idea, oh, you know, oh yeah, no, it's just how it is. It's like, no, it's not how it is. We have to look at the society that we live in that creates this situation. That's why something I was telling my friends when I was having this discussion is community over cops. You know, it's like, if the community was better, if the way we lived, that's the problem. We are under such a ridiculously insane society that teaches people be out for yourself, you know, every person for themselves, you know, succeed at all costs, murder, kill, do whatever you got to do to get this dollar, you know.
Right. Which is why I like the society that we saw at Jackson Hole, because that was amazing, and I was like really impressed, right? And I also Googled Jackson Hole because I was like, is that in Wyoming? And it is. And the picture I got was actually a place that, I don't know if it was just like a ranch area or that was the actual like town, but it looked just like what I saw, or similar to what we saw on the episode. And it was so funny to me, like when Tommy was explaining everything, how everything worked and what they was growing, all this other stuff. And in my head, I was like, he's gonna say the word. He's gonna say the word. I was like, socialism or something like that. He was like, communism. And they were like, oh damn. Well, his wife said that. They was like, oh, this is a communist, you know, community. And it's just so funny to me because for like decades that has always been villainized, right? And granted, there are some aspects of it where if it's used in the wrong way, yes, it's a villainy. But there's other parts where it's just like, oh, well, this could actually help the people.
Well, my favorite part about that was, because I've talked about this, is Tommy and Joel's reaction to the idea of them being communists.
That was interesting because that gave me...
Oh, they're both red-blooded military Americans. You gotta remember this.
Okay, so Ben, I'm glad you said that because they gave me a very conservative, I'm a Republican reaction when they said that. Like I felt Republican air when they turned around, like appalled. Like they both clutching their 45 when she said the word communism. They were like, not in my country. So, you know, I just thought that was just interesting, that reaction. I'm really glad you mentioned that.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, not in my country. Like, they couldn't believe it. Because, like I said, especially Tommy. Tommy is a military man. I'm not so sure about Joel, but Tommy definitely, you know, we know served. So he's not about that life. And like I said before, out of the two of them, one of them is a Trump voter.
Listen, I told you I was getting conservative vibes with them reactions and them looks at each other when it was like,
oh my God.
And she said, well, we do live on a commune. I was like, God damn it, she right.
Damn right.
Look like y'all just fine too. Y'all living
just fine. Didn't need the jail.
Nah, living. She said, you have a council that's voted in democratically, and also what I really like to hear, which is that there was someone who each person serves the goals and the needs and wants of certain groups. And Rutina Wesley, our girl from True Blood who plays not Joel, but Tommy's wife, she was like, "Oh, I also serve the needs of the children in the community." So the children seem to have a voice as well.
Mm.
I don't know if you noticed that, like, because she made it a point to say that, like, she makes sure, like, and also when as you watch, you see, like, she's there at movie night. She seems to be minding the kids and all that other stuff just to make sure that they're being heard as well.
Hmm. No, I love that whole society. That was really beautiful. Like everything they said, they don't need the jail. They all work together. They have a democratic vote to determine who runs the place. They got lights. They got food. They got everything.
What were they building though when Joel and Ellie first rode into town? I maybe I was tripping. I thought it was like the gallows or the.
You know what?
It looked like the gallows to me. So
I think we're just so shook right now that it's like everything looks like gallows because we've seen.
I was like, "What the fuck is that?" Now, for all we know, it's a fucking well, but it looked like the gallows to me. Because when they walked into town, I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, "What the fuck is this man building?" And then I got nervous, like, "Oh, what fucking Negan-esque society are they in now?" And like you said, maybe we just think
We
the
just
worst of
shook.
everything.
Yeah, we just shook now. It's like we scarred, I trolled
God, for life. Like, bam, it's a well.
It's a well, right?
Bam, it's a seesaw. Relax. It could have been, but it looked like a damn death machine. Now watch it be that. But yeah, but that was another thing we both said.
Like, it's a windmill, dog. Like,
it's a windmill. Don Quixote ass. But yeah, man, we both love Rutina Wesley Bean. I love seeing her. Like, I know she's been on Greenleaf. Is that the thing that was on? I ain't watched that. The last I remember her was from True Blood. Okay, loved her, and so I was really happy to see her here and just in a prominent role. That was really cool to me.
Definitely was.
Yeah,
loved it.
What's another thing you liked? I see here.
Let me see what else.
Something about
Ellie not understanding
Ellie's
modern life. Yeah, Ellie's modern life and her disdain for modern life was so great to me. She's like, "Is this all people had to worry about?"
Oh, when she was reading the journal.
Yes, all they had to worry about: boys, clothes, nonsense. And I mean, someone,
she's not wrong. It's also a different time, but she's not wrong.
As someone who's journaled in their time and wrote about all that nonsense, at one point or another, hit me kind of hard. And I was like, "Fuck you, Ellie."
I'd give money if I could find my journal from when I was in elementary or middle school.
Man, even my one from high school, I wish I had. And
I would give money because I distinctly remember certain things where I feel like I've succeeded. Like I said, I wanted to do something, and that, like when I was a kid, and I actually got to do it. But then also, I'm just like, what was I worried about at that time? What was I thinking about? What was important to me at that age? What kept me up? What kept me going? Like I really would like to have been able. I have no idea where this stuff is or even exists no more. Probably don't. But I would probably give money to see that.
Elementary, I don't have, like, there's certain stuff I wrote a play in elementary. I'm not sure if it's still around at all. Yeah, I did all kind of stuff like that, but that's a whole nother story. But yeah, I wrote a play, and but I know what my fears were then. I have a distinct memory of what my fears were because I just have the same thoughts and shit that I've had since I was a kid. My mindset hasn't changed that much. So
you don't think that anything you would read would come off as trivial, for example?
No, or no. Some of the stuff I was worried about, like girls and shit, was super trivial. Like, oh my god, I'd stress over people who, mean nothing. Like, what's the point?
Right, exactly.
But like the overall fears that I held in life were far from trivial, and they are the same things that I fear now.
Right. But that is interesting. I like Ellie getting these. She's literally getting these screenshots of what life was like, and life was like in 2003. Because when Joel and I was laughing, I was giggling a little when Joel first walked in the room. You saw that old ass iMac in there, the translucent blue iMac in there, and just the way shit was set up, the types of posters that was on the wall, the colors used, like that shit was early 2000s, bro, like legit early 2000s. So to see her in that element, and and then that's also like that's when I was a kid. So I'm just like, damn, the memories. Oh my god. So that shit was rough, but so I understand, but it's just so funny to me that, of course, when you put the context of where Ellie is and what she is and who she is, to then read things like this is trash, this is stupid, while she, with her potty mouth, and she over here killing niggas with the gat and all this stuff. So it's
That's the
interesting.
thing. It's a whole different life.
Whole different lifestyle, bro.
Yeah.
Whole
Like
different life.
and she just can't understand it. That was the most interesting part of that scene to me, is how she could not even comprehend it. It was just
Not at all.
alien to her.
Yeah.
How people lived in 2003, in the regular 2003, in the world not infected by the cordyceps. How people lived is just alien to her, because she's a
Mm-hmm.
kid who grew up in this life. This was already the norm when she was born. So she
Facts.
has no concept of what we know as society. Her
Right.
society is completely different, and her
Right.
society is all she knows. So that's really, it's just so interesting to see. Like, it's like damn near like an alien coming down and reading some kid's journal.
Shit's crazy. Speaking of kids, another thing I liked, I liked the fact that Ellie found out finally that Joel had a daughter, and that when that light bulb went off, when what's her name, Maria, when Maria, Tommy's wife, when she mentioned that, and first of all, I thought that was sad. That was like the little memorial they had over the hearth, over their fireplace, where it had the name of both Tommy and Joel's kids respectively. But that the way she found out, and then Ellie's response, her visceral like light bulb, and then like the shock, and then she was like, "Damn, that explains a lot about how he acts," and it's giving her a new dimension of who this man is. And also, I think it endears her to him even more than she was already being or already endeared to him, because she's just like, well, you see how already attached she is. And I feel like she becomes even more attached upon hearing that, because she's just like, he was at one point a dad. That fatherly instinct is still there somewhere within all that mess, somewhere between all that coldness. That guy's still there. And then to have that conversation him and Jolie had, that really cold and damn conversation, like when he was like, you're not my daughter type shit. And Ellie's hard, or trying to be hard. She's like, I ain't trying to be like, that conversation, that debate, that argument, that shit was cold. Like, that's some real life shit. Then that's when, now I'm like, okay, the writing is really shining again with that shit, because it just gave me an understanding that like these characters are like just deeply confronting each other, and it's just really really cool to watch.
I also love the writing, and when in their reconciliation.
Reconciliation.
Yeah, reconciliation. Yeah. When they reconcile. Yeah. Yeah, when they reconciled. I loved that scene, because it wasn't the usual, where they had to talk it out or any of that. It was just straight up, he's like, okay, I'm giving you a choice. Let's go. There was nothing else to it. Yeah. And then none of that, oh, I'm sorry for what I said. Because neither of them is sorry for what they said.
No.
They're going to have to live with each other, and they know that they both, in a way, love each other. So they're going to just, let's go.
Absolutely.
We got bigger fish to fry.
Anything else you liked, or you want to go into the things you did not like?
Oh, okay. Being someone who, I think I mentioned this last week, I was actually born in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And I lived there till I was 3 years old, and then I visited again one time when I was like 12, and I stayed there for a whole summer. And because I have like family and friends there to this day. I love seeing it. I love seeing Prey, the movie this summer that came out with the Predator. I mean, last summer with the Predator. I loved Prey because it featured those same wilderness shots and stuff. And I love seeing this, because I've been up in those mountains of Cheyenne and Wyoming, and it's incredible out there, man. Like, it's some of the most beautiful countryside that America has. It's so dope when the snow comes down. Just the mountains themselves, the views, the vistas,
the Purple Mountains majesty.
Yeah, the purple mountains, the amber waves of grain, all that good stuff. Like, So I love seeing that. That is something that I just always love. I love westerns for that, but Wyoming in particular and the countryside of Wyoming is something I just always love. So that was very dope to see.
Yeah. Oh, and what you mentioning westerns reminds me of I appreciate seeing the different types of society that we are bound to see as we continue down this story. Like we saw what happens in one instance where they run Phaedra out of town, but they become this really wild, crazy kind of dictatorship because of the Karen there, and it's very ultra violent generally, right? And very close minded and one minded because she is after revenge at this point. But you see, but you see how like the type of violence that they're doing and the way it looks. It's cold, it's steel, and this and that. Whereas then you see Jackson Hole, like they're in the country, and as Maria says, they're in the middle of nowhere, so they get to have the Purple Mountains majesty, but also they rebuild off of things that are already existing, and also incorporate the whole Western feel, right? The cowboys feel. They're all on horses. Even though they're wearing fairly modern clothing, like they all have that Western kind of outback look to them. So I just think that's cool. And then it's just, I wonder what other styles of societies, communities we're going to see as we go on.
Well, you also see, and I also love this too, with the couple at the beginning, right? They've been living there all their time.
The
Like,
whole
dude was
time.
like, I'm there, I'm old. What do you say? I've been doing this since you were a baby, or something
Right.
like
To Joel. He said that shit to Joel, though.
Joel, yeah.
And Joel is, what, 50 some years old?
Yep. And they have never heard of the Fireflies in their whole life. Like the Fireflies with this big mission and all this noise they're making, these people have never even heard of them. So
And
that's what
it's
I
just
love.
like with Ellie. It's like you never experienced that life. So when you get that information, you're like, okay, it's
and these
alien.
People, and they've lived through the infected, through everything else, but that just has never reached them, and that's just like, that's how it is. And that was really interesting to see. It's like there's all these societies, like they're a very small society, these two people. I mean, who else do they know out there? They might trade with or whatever, or communicate with. But at the same time, they've never been affected by Fireflies, probably by Phaedra, by any of that. They're just out there.
Yeah. All right. I think that's generally most of the things I like about the episode. And do you like the episode overall? Like, did you enjoy it? I mean, clearly it was better than that hard shit. I'm still mad that I had to go through that. And by mad, I mean sad, like the whole Henry Sam stuff. But do you feel a little bit better now that watching this episode, or do you still feel the sting?
I still feel the sting, and overall, like I did not like how the episode opened.
Why did they have to open it like that?
That was
again.
Yeah, and
they did the whole thing like they didn't even it wasn't even implied. It was like, let's show that whole freaking part of the scene again.
And it goes back to what I keep saying, is that like when the violence is directed towards people of color in zombie genre type shows, I have to question it, because zombie genre type shows have inherently so much stuff dealing with race at their core. Like the like idea of zombies and where it comes from is from Haiti. So there's a lot to unpack there, and I thought that was completely unnecessary. Like we didn't see,
did we need that flashback? Like it did a flashback, then it said 3 months later. Was that required?
No, we didn't see, what do you call it? Bill and them.
Almost said Bill and Ted.
Bill and Frank, right? Bill and Frank. Yeah, lying in their infected death or any of that. We just kept it moving.
Yeah, like you understood it. Wrap it up, and then we moved on. And I just never wanted to see that again. And then for them to open this episode with, I was like, why the fuck would you?
And that could be shown in the previous. Like, I'm sure that was shown in the little, or will be shown in the little previous thing that.
The preview thing of the.
Yeah, that they always show on HBO. What happened last week? That's going to show in that, and then they're going to double down, and it feels gratuitous.
I didn't understand.
Yeah, I didn't understand that one. That felt like that was a choice y'all made.
So that's something we did not like. Another thing I didn't like, I understand it. It makes sense. I just don't like it. Joel's cowardice and the way he was telling his brother, nah, you got to take her. I was like, first of all, Joel, you just found this. He don't know her from a can of beans, okay?
You don't know Tommy at this point.
And you don't know Tommy at this point, okay? You just found your brother. Yes, you've been doing all this to, quote, save your brother. I get it. But then they'd be like, nah, you got to go out there. He done fucking told you there is not a impossible trip, but it's a dangerous trip. And my girl is pregnant. He done said all this shit. And like I said, I understand. I get it. It does make sense. Like your fear and how it grabbed you and grabbed it. And I think, was he having anxiety or panic attacks at that point? Because I thought he was having heart attacks. But the way he was describing it sounded more like, panic attack.
Yeah, I think it's more like a panic attack.
Okay. So I get the reasoning, but then to be like, you put all that shit on your brother. Nah, just do this one time for me. This one time for me. I was like, Joe, my man. Like, Ellie was looking at, that's why Ellie was fucking pissed, rightfully so. Like, you fucking leave me? I don't know this nigga.
Man's act like he asked him to go pick him up a dub sack or something, you know?
That's
Like, yo, come on, just one time, fam, you know?
Like, I'm like, as soon as he said that and Tommy was like, all right, I'm like, Tommy dead? Like, that's the first thing I said. I said, Tommy, I said, you killed the nigga. I said, he can't even see his baby, goddammit. And then thankfully, that changed, but damn.
I knew ain't no damn way, because I was like, I know this ain't the game. Ain't no part in the game where you gonna be like, let Tommy take Ellie. You know, like, what? Game over. You know?
No, I can't take her out to the wilderness with raiders and everybody else. I got a baby on the way.
Yo, as them played through 3/4 of the game, and you gonna be like, nah, I'm good.
He said, Joel, I gotta be careful. He's like, you gotta do this for me, Tom. You gotta do this for me. I ain't got it anytime. Sir.
That's like the part of the game where the online, you need help online and you let somebody else play your game.
Sir, you are basically a superhero. And that's not to say you're not infallible. Obviously, like, everyone has the weaknesses and all this other stuff, but you gotta step the fuck up and you can't fold like that. Like, Joel was folding like a stack of lawn chairs. And I'm like, bruh, get it together.
So, can you get me past this boss right here?
Tommy's like, I'm gonna die, but I'll do it because I'm your brother. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Tommy was like, I can see that too. I can see the fucking gears clicking in his head. Like, I might die for this.
I mean, what was really wild is, like, what was the plan? Was the plan for him to send Tommy off?
Send Tommy off, and then here's nothing.
He was gonna go along?
Drop Ellie. No, he wasn't going. And that's what I'm saying. That's the cold part. Where I'm like, what the fuck? It seemed like he was just going to chill in Jackson Hole, drinking Kool-Aid while Tommy out there fucking, doing a suicide mission. So, and then what? Tommy was supposed to drop her off and then come back by himself? He ain't got no, like, how? Like,
okay. Nope. Nobody to watch his back now.
Right. And not to say he's not capable either, but come on, man. I was just like, damn. So, I'm saying all this, but this is within the context of a show and the context within a character that is suffering, right? So I get it. It's just still something that is annoying that I'm going to say. And it's not, and to be clear, it's not like it's not a bad thing. Like, it's not like bad writing or anything. Nothing like that. No, this is just from a characterization standpoint. I'm just like, you stupid fucking, leave your brother out of this. You know what I mean? So that's all.
I don't know. It was kind of like, I won't say bad writing. It was just weird because it was like pointless to me. Because
it came out of nowhere. I think it kind of came out of nowhere too.
It kind of came out of nowhere, and it's like maybe
you just not realize you be failing, Joe. Like, you've been winning too.
Because the kid shot himself. That was 3 months ago. Like, you ain't going through some more horrible shit.
That shit shook him up that much. Remember, he has a thing about kids. I will say that he has a thing about, like, kids shouldn't have to live that life. Kids shouldn't have to be dealing with or.
Fam, you've been dumping kids in the fire already.
He has been up, but that's also before
kids
he got
have
softened.
to live that life.
Yes, but that was also before he got softened up by Ellie. Remember, I said it seemed like they've been like two ships. Like, he's been softening up. Ellie has been hardening. Like, so, she's just been like, man up, and he's been like, I'm afraid. So. And it's similar to what Bill has said about Frank. For the first time, I'm afraid because you have something to be afraid for. And for what, 20 or whatever how many years, Joel hasn't necessarily been afraid, right? Maybe he's lived afraid, but he's ignored that. He's pushed that down to just let the coldness and just the, be about that life type of thing stay in the forefront. But now he has something that he cares, or someone that he cares about. And that also generates fear of loss. So I get it.
Understandable.
I'm still mad at you, Joel, but I get it.
No, I wasn't mad at him. It was like, nigga, like,
I was like, you selfish bitch.
Like, no, I didn't even look at it like that. It was more just like, this is not going to work. Because I looked at it like,
you were just like, this is not gonna.
Yeah, like logistically,
this don't add up on paper.
Yeah, this makes no sense, bro. Like, you gonna stay around and explain to this black woman that you sent her husband off to die?
And what do you think about that? The fact that, like, when they had that conversation, right? And then Tommy walked back into the theater and then looked at Maria, like gave her the nod, and she, the smile, and he turned around, and she was like weirded out, like she knew Joel had said some fuck shit to him.
Yep, yeah, definitely.
She knew.
Yeah, she knew. And I don't think that Joel would have stood around. I think Joel would have left and tried to go back home, I guess.
To do what?
If
he let's play this out. If that really went through and he said, yo, you got to take Ellie, I can't do this, where the fuck was Joel going?
Yeah, good question. But that's the thing, like, he can't stay there because Rutina and Maria gonna kill his ass.
With his own gun that she took.
Yes. Easy. No problem. Like, there ain't no way he can stay there and try and explain that, yeah, I sent my own brother off. I couldn't even go with him. What?
Because it didn't sound like he was going with him. He was just like,
it did not sound like it. Because
I'm a chill in the crib.
When he shows up, Ellie's like, oh, you here to say goodbye. Not you here to roll with us.
Correct.
No.
Correct.
So it made no logistical sense. That's why it never bought, not for 1 second that I like consider him shook or anything. I was just like, yeah, whatever.
The math ain't mathing.
Yeah, it's just a foolish plan. No matter what, the reason for it is, this will never work out. So, get ready to make that ride, Joel, because, man.
Any predictions or thoughts about what happens next on the next episode? So Joel got his big man pants on and said, nope, I'm going to take you, Ellie. I'm back in business. So they off to ride over to University of Colorado, they said, to go find. Oh, no, they did go to University of Colorado, and that went left. So man's got stabbed with a railroad track nail. Now what?
Death. A whole episode of flashback, maybe, because Joel is dying.
Passed out, dying, right?
Yeah.
Lost mad blood.
And we got time to kill now. Because they got to find these Firefly people by the end of this.
Where the fuck is these niggas? Where the fuck? I hate the moving targets. I know that for practicality's sake, they got to be moving targets, but I hate moving targets because it annoys me. Because I'm like, are you serious? Is this your princess is another castle shit? That's how I fucking feel. Every time they get to where these niggas are supposed to be at, these niggas is dead and gone or whatever. I'm like, what's going on, bro? What? Where the fuck are y'all? And then I better not do all this fucking work to get to y'all, and y'all niggas ain't got it. Ooh, I'll be so heated. I'll be so fucking mad. Oh, nah, B, we not about that right now. Like, no, you taking this little girl and doing whatever you gotta do. Hell nah. That's what I'm saying. That's the cold part about this world. It's literally everywhere they went, them niggas literally was dead or dying or ran off or whatever. Like, what happens if they finally do find him and the niggas say, nah, ain't shit we can do? 10 fucking what? What now?
I mean, that's the thing. It's like, even when she's asking Joel, what are you going to do after all this? It ain't like this going to be some magic shit that cures the world. The world's still fucked up. Like, you ain't going to do much of anything. Your best bet is going back to Jackson Hole because Jackson Hole seems to have it together, over anything and living out the rest of your days as long as you can there. Because other than that, you ain't traveling. You ain't doing nothing like that. Shit's fucked up everywhere, fam.
If this goes the way like we've seen on a lot of zombie quote shows, is somebody gonna find out about Jackson Hole and is they gonna have to defend that shit?
I don't think so.
You think it's gonna stay safe? I would hope it stays safe because I like the idea of them. And one of the things I do like that this was just sanctuary and they weren't being chased around or double crossed. It was just like this is just a nice place to be. Do you think it's going to stay that way?
I think so. That was something else I like too, because when they had Ellie walking through the town, I sure as hell thought that she would find the dark secret of Jackson Hole, and it said the dark.
I thought she was going to run away.
Oh, why?
The way, because she said, she said she heard Joel. She was sneaking out and hearing things, and when she was like, "Oh, because you was about to leave me," I thought man was gonna run. Like, I don't know why or where she would go, but Ellie be doing wild shit.
No, I just thought she was gonna find the dark secret of Jackson Hole, and instead the dark secret was Joel.
White supremacists
yeah,
under controlling the town on bikes or something. I don't fucking know.
Like, fuck, like always the communists. No, I didn't know what it was going to be, but I just knew it wouldn't be something good. But so I was happy to see that Jackson Hole was good. Yeah. And I don't think this is like that type of game or show where, it's gonna, like, if it was The Walking Dead, yeah, they'd have to eventually defend Jackson Hole against the Raiders. But I don't think that's what this show is about. Okay. I think we'll probably never see Jackson Hole again, for that matter.
Damn.
Yeah.
It was such a nice place.
It was, but like, what's the point? They found Tommy. He good. He about to have his kid. I don't know. I mean, look, I don't know how, it's The Last of Us again. I keep saying that. I don't know how, I don't put 100% on. I know Ellie probably made it further, but I don't put 100% on Joel being here for the whole run of, both seasons of this show either.
That leads me to a piece of dialogue that I saw as big foreshadowing. Maria says this to Ellie when she's basically telling Ellie, you need to be careful because, Maria don't really fuck with Joel like that.
Nope.
She says the only thing that can betray us are the people we trust. And Ellie, I know she took that to heart and it's going to sink in, especially feeling kind of halfway betrayed, seeing or overhearing that Joel was like going to make Tommy take her. And she's like, why would you abandon me and all this other shit? But like, it makes me also think like, because all I know is that there's some tragic shit that happens, I guess, in the game towards the end. I'm like, yo, is Ellie going to betray Joel?
Or is Joel going to betray Ellie?
I don't think so, just because Joel's soft now, but I don't know. I don't know. Softer. Let me say softer. But
softer.
I don't know.
I do know you control Joel in the game for the most part. And the game is told through Joel's perspective. And I know that people were quite upset with choices Joel makes in the game that you really don't have control over.
Damn.
That's all I know. Honestly, I know no more than that and really don't want to know. But yeah.
I don't want to know nothing else. Don't tell me, y'all.
Yeah, I don't know. It's don't be, I just know, like, I keep going back to what the name of the show is. That's
The Last of Us, niggas.
That's all I know. It ain't the last of a lot of us. It's the last of us.
Yikes.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right. I think that's about it for our review. What is this? Episode 6?
Episode 6.
So we got 7, 8, 9, 3 more left in the chamber before it's all over for this season of The Last of Us. So, as always, thank you for joining us here on The Lack of Us, presented by For All Nerds, the blackest Last of Us podcast out here. For more from For All Nerds, you can always follow us on all different podcast platforms like Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcasts at. We right there. Just hit up For All Nerds on those platforms. Hit that follow button, and you'll get all of the greatness from the For All Nerds family, such as The Lack of Us, Views from the 616, our Marvel influenced podcast, Castle Black, the Game of Thrones, the blackest Game of Thrones podcast out here, and much more from the For All Nerds family. Right?
Much more like our merch, because if you go to forallnerds.com, forallnerds.com, you get to see some amazing designs that we have up. Soon we'll have even more as we go along. Benami and I are wearing designs from our original merch site on TeePublic. You could just search for that. But we want you to start going to forallnerds.com, because that's where we have our own shop. And that's where it is a Black-owned business. And the proceeds is coming to us. And we're not getting like 2 cents off at the top. So let's do that in order to support us. You can get the designs on like t-shirts and sweatshirts. And we really appreciate everyone who has purchased some merch thus far. Really, really appreciate you. That is all of this stuff that we're generating here, this is how we power For All Nerds, how we pay our staff, how we do cool things like this. We appreciate you. You can also go to our Patreon, patreon.com/For All Nerds, where every tier is a good tier. And you get special privileges for being part of the Patreon fam. And make sure you are following us, as Benjamin said, on all social platforms as well. For All Nerds, I'm at Tatiana King. He's at DJ Benjamin. Make sure you're following us if you want to see our beautiful melanated faces on the YouTubes, youtube.com/For All Nerds TV, or in the search box, type in For All Nerds, will pop up. And make sure, on Twitch too. So twitch.tv/For All Nerds. So when we're doing our live streams, maybe DJ Benjamin is DJing, maybe we're gaming, whatever you may want or see or care about, it's all up there.
There it is. And also do remember, for those who want to see our beautiful melanated faces in person, this is our 10th year anniversary, so we're going to have to plan some type of live show at some point. I know it sounds crazy. It's happening. But also, October 19th, 2023, we will be in D.C. at the Smithsonian, at the National Historical... I can't remember.
National Museum.
I always did the first two prongs. Of African American history and culture. That's right, baby. The Black Smithsonian, For All Nerds is in the house. October 19th, 2023. Check the website for more details, and we'll have much more to let you know about that coming soon. But, just be in D.C. October 19th, 2023. That's all I can tell you,
I think it's going to be homecoming weekend, too. So
oh, my God.
It'll be even more lit.
It's going to be super lit. It's going to be out of control. I'll probably have some parties set up that weekend. So, we going down. It's going down. Come through. Holla at your boy. And your girl. And all of us. Relax.